Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from Hotel West End in beautiful Nice. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, deboer Wetsuits, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand, Quintana Premium Plus Sports, and of course our Challenged Athletes Foundation. And our next guest, Mr. Mike Phillips from New Zealand. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, Bob. Thanks for having me here.
Have you raced here before in Nice?
No, not in Nice. No.
Have you been on the course? What do you think?
Yeah, I've been on the course. Definitely a bit different than we've had for, obviously I've only experienced the World Champs in Kona before,
yes,
where it's always been. So quite a different challenge to that. And mainly I'd say just the bike course is a lot more challenging and potentially quite a lot slower than it is in Kona.
Yes. Does that change the way you fuel, knowing you could be out there, an extra half hour, if not longer?
Yeah, maybe even 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard to tell, until you're sort of going race speed the whole way around. It's hard to tell what sort of speed you'll actually average in the race. But, I think it's definitely going to be potentially quite a bit longer.
So what got you into triathlon?
I was doing a lot of sports at high school and kind of pretty average at all of them. So I thought I'll just narrow it down to 3 and do triathlon.
And I'll be way better.
Yeah.
Now, when did you realize that you would be good at this?
So I was doing this kind of just as a bit of a hobby and working as an engineer at the same time. And I started, I would fly to races and I'd always end up sort of on the podium or getting a little bit of pocket money. So I thought, well, I'll do it a bit more seriously now while I'm younger and, go back to engineering later on.
You can always be an engineer. You're always an engineer forever.
Yeah, I'm sure my body will pack in and then I can use my mind after that.
Exactly.
To design some buildings or something.
Well, but the thing is, you miss every opportunity you don't take. So to be able to travel the world and go to places that you might not ever see and have somebody pay the freight, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I guess I also knew a lot of age group guys that were sort of in their 50s that were then starting to take it really seriously. And it's like, well, I'd rather do it now where I can be a professional and actually see how far I can go than sort of when my body's half packed up and then trying to do it.
What race was it that told you, okay, I could be pretty good at this?
I sort of took some time away from my job in 2017 and I came overseas to Europe and I raced maybe 8 or 9 sort of races and I got on the podium in all of them. So the end of that trip was Ironman Barcelona, which was my first Ironman race where I got second, and sort of after that race I thought that I could be quite competitive in this longer distance triathlon.
Oh, and are you in Christchurch?
Yeah, in Christchurch, New Zealand. Yeah.
So was Scott Molina, Aaron Baker?
Yeah, they're still around. Still see Scott at the pool and running around in the hills.
That guy will never stop. He's unbelievable. So in Barcelona you went 752.
Yeah.
And that was for a rookie. And you got second.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And I think it was a field of like 100 professionals or something. So
yeah.
I sort of went into the race thinking if I got in the top 20, I'd be pretty happy. So,
yeah.
So yeah.
And then you got in first Kona, you ran from 28th to 16th. Is that right? So 2019, and then the whole world shuts down.
Yeah.
So you're having these great races, and then during COVID, did you think, okay, I'll go back and be an engineer for a while, or what were you thinking?
It was just really hard to plan in COVID, I guess, because
especially you guys were all shut down.
Yeah, in New Zealand, if you left, you couldn't get back in unless you had to try and book a quarantine spot, which was like a lottery. So you could end up getting stuck overseas
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard because we didn't really have a time frame of when that was actually going to open up again. So we started building a house during the lockdown, so that sort of kept me busy, and it was a bit of a shame to miss some racing through that period, but it was kind of hard with the travel restrictions.
Right. And so in 18 you win Challenge Melbourne, 5th at Ironman New Zealand. So you started to have some really good races. And 16th in Kona? 16th in Kona.
Yep. So that was 2018.
Yep.
I had a little bit of I actually came to Nice for a few months and I did the bike course. And the first day I did it, this was the 70.3 course. And the first day I did it, it started raining on the descent. And I hit a pothole cover. And in one of those little towns. And I slid off into the barrier, which sort of gave me a bit of a hip issue for a few months there throughout the season. But it was funny because I was like, I'm never coming and racing in Nice after that.
I'm never coming back.
No.
And here you are.
Here we are.
Here you are.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so, how many times you race cans? You've raced cans a bunch.
Yeah, a number of times. It's the Asia Pacific Champs for us, so it's sort of the big race at the end of our season. But it's quite difficult timing for us too, because it sort of gets quite cold in New Zealand, sort of around April, May, and then you head over to Cairns in June, and the humid conditions there, and it's quite a shock to the system. So I've always struggled a bit in Cairns trying to get the timing right, just turning up there in good shape and heat adapted. So
I was going to say the heat is a problem there.
Yeah.
So in this year, 70.3 Geelong, right? You win there, you win Ironman New Zealand. Winning in your home country has to be pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, it's always good. I won the race for the first time in 2019.
Yes.
With Starkowitz there, and just passed him at the end there, which was pretty cool experience. But I sort of wasn't expecting to win it back then.
Yes.
And then ever since then, I've thought, it shouldn't be too. I'm fitter now. It should be easier to win now. And it's taken me another 3 years. So it's nice to always nice to win in New Zealand.
Well, and when you won for the first time, you ran a 2:40 marathon off the bike. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I did. I guess in 2017, 2018, I felt that my swim and bike was strong enough to compete in the world sort of scene, but my running wasn't. So I did a lot of work on my running. And then, to run 2:40 in New Zealand sort of was good to show that I can run that fast if everything's going well.
Right. Does this course suit you?
It's hard to say. I think the flatter run is probably good for me.
Yes.
But the bike course, obviously there's some long climbs in there, but overall, most of the races this year I've done well by biking fast. So
right.
A harder bike course should be good for me, but also the long uphills probably suit some of the smaller guys a bit better. So it'll be interesting to see.
But you got some downhill from 80 on.
Yeah, what goes up must go down. Eh?
Exactly. And the technical downhills, and when you being on the course, did you feel... Because a lot of the guys are like, oh, my God, it's really technical. And the other guys are like, oh, it seems fine to me.
Yeah, it seems fine to me, really. There's only a few corners that you sort of have to really pile on the brakes for. The rest of it, you sort of can pedal through. Go. Yeah, even on the downhills, you've actually got to push the pedals quite a bit because it's not that steep. So
that's what people were saying, that there's really no relaxing on this course.
No, I mean, you get to the thing, you sort of 40 k's to go, it's all downhill from here, but there's still a few little ups along that downhill, and if you're not pedaling, you're going to lose a lot of time. So I think you've really got to put out the power in the right time on this course.
Is it difficult, because a lot of times with the Aussies and New Zealanders, the seasons are so opposite. So doing your season, and I always felt that with Cam Brown, he's winning Ironman New Zealand in March, and then to be ready for Kona in October, right? It's hard to peak that many times during the season. Is that tough for you guys?
Yeah, I think if the world champs were at the end of our season, sort of March or April, I think you would have seen Cam Brown do a lot better.
Exactly.
It's really hard for us because we have no choice really but to set up a base overseas, and doing that you're sort of away from all your networks, like your
family, friends.
Yeah. Plus, if you need to see your masseuse or
physio,
you need to get your bike set up done, or you're having health problems like going and getting tested and stuff. Like if you're in a foreign country, it's quite hard to just scoot down to the doctor and get a test or something like that. So it is really hard setting up a home away from home, and then performing kind of in that. It's kind of like our off season.
Yes,
is shaping up for our biggest race of the year. So it's definitely a challenge, but I guess that's all part of the sport.
What's fascinating is it used to be a lot of the big racing was in the U.S. or Europe, and so it's not like you guys can come over for the weekend. You basically have to commit to 6 months. You got to commit it to a long period of time. So going back in the day with, Craig Alexander and Luke McKenzie, those guys would, come to the States and get an air mattress and find an apartment and try to make enough money to get to the next race. It's difficult because you do move away from family, friends, and connections to try to make it. Is that one of the hardest parts for you?
Yeah, for sure. And sort of through COVID there, they announced that Kona was going to be at the end of February at one stage. And we were all sort of
twice,
thinking... Yeah, we were thinking, wow, this is going to be our first chance to prepare at home.
Exactly. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it would have been quite a good experience in seeing how the Europeans went coming from winter. But it didn't happen, so yeah.
You know what's funny about that, because that's what people don't quite realize, is in 2020, the first thing was, we're not doing it in October of 2020, we're going to do it in February of 2021. Then it was like, okay, we can't do it then, we're going to be in October of 2021. then it was going to be February 2020. It was like 4 cancellations.
Yeah.
So everybody was like training and then going, oh, what's the use? But for you guys, if the race was back in February, like it had been in really up until 81, 82. Actually, 82 was the last year. It was in February. So, but you guys would have benefited from the Ironman World Championship being in February.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, it would have been interesting anyway, just to see how people went, with the different timing.
Yes.
Because a lot of guys come down to New Zealand, Ironman New Zealand, and sort of think it'll be an easy race, but I think all of us perform a little bit better down there, and all of them struggle with the long travel and trying to, race well in their off season.
Welcome to your world, right? That's what you guys deal with all the time, all that travel and being away. That's very cool. So what ultimate goal? What do you want to achieve in this sport?
In the sport, I just want to keep progressing, really. Like, I ran a 240 marathon, and also I've had some bike rides which are really good, so I just want to put together a day where I have a good swim, good bike, good run, and I think that should at least put me into the top 10 in some of these world champs fields, which would be amazing. That
would be awesome. Such a pleasure to get to meet you. I love all the great athletes over the years from New Zealand, from John Walker and Rod Dixon and Dick Quacks. I mean, you guys have such a great legacy of endurance athletes.
Yeah, there's been a few different eras there, and it's cool.
Very cool. Thanks so much for taking time, Mike.
Cheers,
pleasure
Bob.
to get to meet you. Mike Phillips has been our guest. Everybody, again, hold on. We will be right back. We're at the West End Hotel in beautiful Nice, France.